Welcome back. If you're maybe preparing for exams like the UGC NET, you'll know how crucial intellectual property is. Or maybe you just want to understand how stuff gets shared online these days. It's a really big topic. So today, we're doing a deep dive specifically into Creative Commons.
Exactly. Yeah, our mission today is really to unpack the history behind Creative Commons, get into the nitty-gritty of the different license types, and figure out how they actually work for creators and for users. We're drawing on some solid sources here, detailed info from Wikipedia and Creative Commons itself.
Okay, so where did this all start? Who were the key people behind it, and when did it kick off?
Right. So Creative Commons, or CC as most people call it, was founded back in 2001. The main figures were Lawrence Lessig, Hal Abelson, and Eric Eldred. They actually released the first set of licenses in December 2002.
Okay, so early 2000s. What was the driving force?
Well, the core idea, and it's pretty fascinating, was to challenge what they saw as an increasingly restrictive permission culture online, where everything defaults to all rights reserved. CC wanted to create a middle ground, a kind of some rights reserved approach, to make it easier legally for people to share and build upon creative work.
And the impact has been, well, it's pretty huge, right?
Oh, absolutely massive. By 2019, estimates were close to 2 billion works licensed under CC. It's not just a number. It really changed the game for sharing knowledge globally.
We're talking things like what, all of Wikipedia?
Yeah, Wikipedia's content. And Flickr had over 415 million CC photos last I checked. YouTube videos, big educational projects like MIT OpenCourseWare, Khan Academy, they all rely heavily on CC licenses. And it's truly global. Creative Commons built this international network. They had affiliates, well, former affiliates now in places like Japan, South Korea, Hungary, and you have dedicated people like Bosel Carterbill, who was leading the charge for CC in Syria. It does raise that interesting question, though. How does a global movement like this balance its core principles with all the different local laws and contexts?
Yeah, that sounds complex. But okay, bringing it back to the basics for someone, say, listening right now. What do these licenses actually let you do?
Good question. So CC licenses are essentially free tools. They let creators say up front, here's what rights I'm keeping, but here's what I'm allowing others to do with my work. You, the creator, still keep your copyright, but you grant standard permissions. Now, the key is understanding the building blocks. All CC licenses, every single one, requires attribution. That's the BY bit. You always have to credit the original creator.
Always BY. Got it. What else?
Then you have optional elements you can add. Non-commercial NC means, well, no using it for profit-making purposes. No derivative works, ND, means you can't change it or adapt it. You have to use it as is. And share like SA means if you adapt the work, your new creation has to be shared under the exact same CC license terms.
Okay, so BY is the base, and then you can add NC, ND, or SA, or mix them up.
Exactly. That gives you the 6 main standard licenses.
Yeah.
Like just BY on its own is the most permissive. Copy, adapt, redistribute, even commercially, just give credit. Think about, say, a library digitizing historical photos. A BY license lets anyone use them, maybe even in a textbook or presentation, as long as they credit the library.
Makes sense. What about adding ND?
So BYND lets people copy and share it, commercially or not, but they can't change it, only verbatim copies. Maybe a researcher publishes a specific data chart. They want it shared widely but not altered, so BYND works.
Right. And what about combining NC and SA? I feel like I see that one a lot.
Yeah, BYNCSA is really common, especially for open educational resources. It means others can adapt your work, like translating a lesson plan, but only for non-commercial purposes, and they must share their new version under that same BYNCSA license.
Okay, so for the user, it gives clear rights, copy, share, display.
Exactly. Copy, distribute, display, communicate, even change the format sometimes. But this is crucial. There are obligations, too. You absolutely must give attribution, keep any copyright notices intact, provide link back to the license itself. And critically, you can't change the license terms or imply the creator endorses your use. Oh, and you can't add things like digital rights management, DRM, if it restricts what the license allows. It's all about maintaining that shared knowledge commons.
It sounds pretty comprehensive, but I imagine it's not without its challenges or critiques.
Oh, definitely. One issue that comes up is license proliferation. Basically, having too many different license options, even within CC, can sometimes lead to compatibility problems if you try to combine works under different licenses.
Yeah, I can see that. And you mentioned non-commercial, the NC part. That sounds like it could get fuzzy. What counts as commercial?
That's a big one. You hit it right there. Balancing flexibility for creators with clarity for users is tough. And yes, the definition of non-commercial has definitely caused confusion and debate. It's not always black and white. And sometimes the limits aren't even about commercial use or copyright directly. There was that famous case, Allison Chang, back in 2007.
Vaguely rings a bell.
An amateur photographer put a photo on Flickit with a CC BY license. Virgin Mobile used it in an ad campaign. The lawsuit wasn't actually about copyright infringement, but the license allowed commercial use, but about personality rights, because the photo was of Chang herself. It really highlighted that CC licenses exist alongside other legal rights.
That's a really important distinction, so maybe we should bust a couple of myths quickly.
Good idea.
First, Creative Commons is absolutely not anti-copyright. Creators keep their copyright.
Correct. It works with copyright law, not against it.
And second, you can't just do anything you want with CC material. You have to follow the specific conditions of that particular license. If you don't, you're back to infringing copyright.
Precisely. The permissions are conditional.
So we've traced CC from its origins, looked at how the licenses work, particularly with examples relevant perhaps to libraries and information science, and touched on some of the complexities. It's clearly played a huge role in shaping our shared knowledge commons.
Absolutely. And looking forward, especially with things like AI generating and using content, these frameworks for sharing, for attribution, they're only going to become more critical, wouldn't you say? It makes you wonder, how will open licensing continue to evolve to handle these new technologies, ensuring we can innovate while still giving credit where it's due? What do you think is the biggest challenge there?